In the heart of a forgotten suburb, where the air hangs heavy and the streetlights flicker with uncertain rhythm, the legend of Yuuyami Doori Tankentai was born. This elusive horror masterpiece, whispered about in hushed tones, has never crossed the borders of Japan, its secrets locked away from the outside world. The case begins on cold, silent streets, avenues lined with shuttered windows and abandoned storefronts, where every shadow seems to linger a moment too long. Residents recall the uneasy quiet that settled over the town, a silence broken only by the distant echo of footsteps and the soft hum of something unseen. Police reports mention strange disappearances, and local folklore speaks of faces glimpsed in the darkness, smiling when no one else would. Tonight, we begin to unravel the chilling truth behind Yuuyami Doori Tankentai. But as we step into the gloom, one question remains. What really happened on those haunted streets, and why has the world been kept in the dark? In the late 1990s, Japan was undergoing a quiet transformation. The country's economic uncertainty, coupled with a growing fascination for the unknown, set the stage for a new breed of horror. It was during this time that a small team of developers began work on a game unlike any other, one that would tap into the nation's collective unease and redefine psychological terror in media. Drawing inspiration from urban legends and the chilling silence of abandoned towns, the creators sought to evoke fear, not through monsters, but through atmosphere and suggestion. As development progressed, whispers began to circulate among the staff. Unexplained technical glitches, shadowy figures glimpsed in the studio after hours, and a persistent feeling of being watched became common topics of hushed conversation. By the time the game neared completion, these rumors had grown into something far more disturbing, leaving many to wonder, had something crossed over during the creation of this digital nightmare? In a dimly lit studio, tucked away from the city's bustle, a former developer recounts the chilling atmosphere that crept in as their project advanced. Flickering lights became a nightly occurrence, casting erratic shadows across empty workstations. Unexplained noises echoed through the halls, soft whispers, distant footsteps, and the unmistakable sound of something moving just out of sight. The sense of dread was palpable, growing heavier with each passing week. Colleagues began to avoid staying late, their nerves frayed by the oppressive silence that settled after sunset. Archive footage reveals anxious glances and hurried departures, hinting at a collective unease. Yet, no one could explain the origin of the phenomena, and the question remains: what was truly lurking within those walls? As we sift through the archived design documents, a chilling pattern begins to emerge. Concept art depicts twisted figures lurking in shadowy corridors, their faces contorted into unnatural grins. Scrawled in the margins are cryptic notes, fragments of folklore, warnings, and references to local legends that predate the game's development. One document, dated months before release, contains a sketch eerily similar to a missing persons police sketch from the same town. The unsettling imagery and handwritten annotations raise a disturbing question. Were these designs merely the product of creative minds, or did something older and darker inspire them? The boundary between fiction and reality blurs, leaving us to wonder what truly lies behind the game's sinister smiles. Police reports from the autumn of 2019 document a chilling pattern. 3 individuals vanished within a 2-block radius of the studio, each disappearance occurring during the darkest hours of late-night development sessions. Investigators combed the area for clues, but found nothing. No footprints, no personal belongings, not even a trace of struggle. The official files are stark in their lack of evidence, yet the silence in the town grew heavier with each passing week. Locals began to murmur about an old curse, one said to haunt the land beneath the studio, feeding on those who linger after midnight. In interviews, neighbors recalled hearing strange noises, soft, persistent tapping against the windows, and distant laughter that faded before dawn. Despite the police presence, the disappearances continued, leaving behind only unanswered questions and a growing sense of dread. What force, if any, was responsible for these vanishings? The truth remained just out of reach, lurking in the shadows. On a cold November night, veteran security guard Thomas Avery patrolled the deserted corridors of the old Millcrest Hospital. He recalls the unsettling silence, broken only by the distant hum of flickering lights. As he turned a corner, Thomas noticed shadowy figures gliding across the far end of the hallway. Too swift, too silent to be explained by faulty wiring or tricks of the eye. Moments later, he heard voices echoing from empty rooms, their words indistinct, layered and overlapping, as if spoken by people who were not truly there. Thomas insists he was alone, yet the sensation of being watched grew unbearable. His account, recorded in a trembling voice, describes a chill that seemed to seep into his bones, and a persistent feeling that something was lurking just beyond the reach of his flashlight. To this day, no explanation has been found for the figures or the voices, leaving investigators to wonder who or what walks those abandoned halls after dark. The game's narrative plunges players into a labyrinth of psychological terror, where the boundaries between reality and nightmare blur within the silent corridors of a deserted city. Urban isolation becomes a living entity, amplifying every shadow and echo, as if the town itself is watching. Interviews with the developers reveal that these themes were not merely fictional. They mirrored the team's own experiences during late-night sessions in a cold, empty studio, haunted by rumors of unexplained noises and sudden power outages. Police reports from the area document a series of mysterious disappearances, fueling speculation that something sinister lingered just beyond the studio walls. The line between the game and its creator's reality grows disturbingly thin, suggesting that the horror was never confined to the screen. As the narrative unfolds, one question remains: did the darkness originate in the game, or was it always lurking in the town itself? In the dimly lit kitchen of a weathered farmhouse, we met with Evelyn Carter, a lifelong resident of the town. She recalled the night she stumbled upon a rare copy of the game at a yard sale, its label faded and unfamiliar. Evelyn described how, as she played, the screen flickered with unnatural glitches, faces appearing in the static, whispers echoing through the speakers. She insisted the sensation of being watched lingered, even after she powered down the console and left the room. Evelyn's voice trembled as she recounted hearing footsteps in the hallway, though she was alone. Her account matches several police reports filed that same month, each describing a pervasive unease that seemed to follow players home. Was it merely paranoia, or something far more sinister embedded within the game's code? The answer remains elusive, hidden in the shadows of Evelyn's memory. In the shadowed corners of fan forums and online communities, whispers about Yuuyami Doori Tankentai refuse to fade. Posts recount cryptic messages embedded within the game and chilling stories of supernatural phenomena experienced by players late at night. Some claim to have heard voices through their speakers. Others describe fleeting apparitions on their screens. As the rumors spread, a distinct pattern emerges: obsession, sleepless nights, and a growing sense of paranoia among those who delve too deeply. Archived threads reveal users who abruptly vanished from discussions, leaving behind only frantic warnings and fragmented accounts. The line between game and reality blurs, and the question remains: are these tales mere urban legend, or is something truly sinister lurking within the code? Archival footage reveals a town frozen in time, its streets eerily silent beneath a blanket of fog. The camera pans past rows of boarded-up houses, their windows shattered, doors hanging open as if inviting something unseen. Rusted playground equipment creaks in the wind, and faded shop signs hint at a life abruptly interrupted. Local police reports describe a mass exodus, but offer no explanation for the sudden disappearance. Eyewitnesses recall strange noises echoing through the night and a growing sense of dread that drove families to flee. The atmosphere is suffocating, heavy with unanswered questions and lingering fear. As we peer into these empty homes, one question remains. What happened to the people who once lived here? In the winter of 2019, renowned paranormal investigator Dr. Elise Warren arrived in the town, drawn by reports of chilling phenomena. During her interview, she described pockets of unnatural cold that lingered in abandoned alleyways, far colder than the surrounding air. Her equipment, reliable in countless investigations, began to malfunction without warning, batteries draining in minutes and readings fluctuating wildly. But it was the sensation of being watched that unsettled her most. She spoke of a persistent feeling, as if something unseen moved just beyond her line of sight, following her every step. Local police later confirmed that Dr. Warren's team reported similar experiences, each member convinced they were not alone. Yet, when they reviewed their footage, strange distortions and whispered voices appeared, impossible to explain. What force haunted the empty streets that night, and why did it choose to reveal itself only in fragments? The sudden cancellation of the game sent shockwaves through the small development studio. Overnight, key staff members vanished without a trace, their offices left eerily untouched, coffee still warm on their desks. Official statements cited unforeseen circumstances, but whispers among remaining employees hinted at something far more sinister. Some believed it was the result of ruthless corporate sabotage, a competitor eliminating the project before it could see the light of day. Others, however, spoke in hushed tones about strange occurrences, flickering lights, chilling drafts, and unsettling laughter echoing in empty corridors. Police reports remain inconclusive, and no evidence of foul play has ever surfaced. Yet, the question lingers. Was this merely a business decision, or did something else intervene in the shadows? Investigators were granted access to the few surviving copies of the game, each one bearing marks of age and inexplicable corruption. The data within was fragmented, riddled with glitches and anomalies that no conventional software could repair. Among the files, experts discovered audio tracks warped beyond recognition, voices stretched and twisted, punctuated by static and chilling, indecipherable whispers. Images recovered from the discs were equally disturbing. Faces blurred into grotesque shapes, backgrounds shifting in ways that seemed almost deliberate. These artifacts have fueled endless speculation, with some suggesting the game was more than mere code, perhaps a vessel for something darker. Yet, no one has been able to explain how these distortions originated or why they persist, even after repeated attempts to restore the files. The mystery remains, deepening with every new fragment uncovered. When journalist Elise Warren first began investigating the case, she expected resistance, but not the chilling escalation that followed. After reaching out to former developers, she received a series of anonymous threats, emails with no sender, messages that vanished moments after being read. Elise described how her nights became plagued by disturbing dreams, shadowy figures standing at the foot of her bed, whispering in languages she couldn't understand, their faces twisted into unnatural smiles. The dreams grew more vivid, bleeding into her waking hours, leaving her exhausted and paranoid. Elise's notes detail how the threats intensified whenever she uncovered new information, as if someone, or something, was watching her every move. She confided to colleagues that she felt a constant, oppressive presence, even in her own home. To this day, Elise refuses to speak publicly about what she discovered, leaving us to wonder, what did she see that made her stop searching for answers? Over the years, those who dared to play or investigate the game have reported a chilling array of psychological disturbances. Paranoia became a constant companion, with some describing the sensation of being watched, even in the safety of their own homes. Insomnia plagued many, their nights haunted by restless thoughts and the persistent feeling that something was lurking just out of sight. Most unsettling of all were the accounts of shadowy figures, silent, indistinct shapes glimpsed in mirrors or at the edges of darkened rooms. Police reports and psychiatric evaluations document these experiences, yet offer no clear explanation. Are these symptoms merely the product of suggestible minds? Or does the game itself serve as a gateway to something far more sinister? The line between reality and nightmare grows thinner with each new testimony, leaving us to wonder, is it all coincidence? Or have we uncovered a darkness that refuses to be ignored? In a dimly lit study, lined with ancient texts, we spoke with Professor Saito, a renowned expert in Japanese folklore. He explained how the game's narrative echoes centuries-old legends of spirits condemned to linger between realms, unable to move on. According to these tales, certain locations, abandoned shrines, forgotten villages, become prisons for restless souls, their anguish seeping into the land itself. Saito described eerie accounts of locals hearing voices in the wind and glimpsing shadowy figures at dusk, stories passed down in hushed whispers. Archive footage revealed faded photographs of these haunted sites, their silence heavy and unnatural. As our interview drew to a close, Saito's expression darkened. He cautioned, "Those who disturb such places risk awakening what should remain hidden." The room seemed colder as his words lingered, leaving us to wonder what truly lies beneath the surface of these forgotten landscapes. In the weeks following the game's release, the publisher issued a series of official statements. Each document was riddled with vague assurances and carefully chosen words, as if every sentence had been scrubbed clean of specifics. Entire paragraphs appeared blacked out, their contents forever concealed from public scrutiny. Investigators noted the absence of any direct acknowledgement of reported incidents, and the publisher repeatedly sidestepped questions about the game's origins. Eyewitnesses described a chilling sense of something deliberately withheld, a secret lurking just beyond the reach of ordinary inquiry. What precisely was so dangerous that it demanded silence? The truth, it seemed, was being buried, one redacted line at a time. The legacy of this game has seeped into the darkest corners of Japanese horror culture, its influence lingering far beyond its initial release. In the years that followed, underground fan projects began to surface. Patches, remakes, and cryptic mods passed quietly between enthusiasts, each one adding new layers to the mythos. Urban legends soon emerged, whispered in online forums and late-night gatherings, stories of players vanishing or of hidden messages appearing only at midnight. Police reports document a handful of unsettling incidents where individuals claimed to experience hallucinations after prolonged gameplay. Eyewitnesses recall the chilling silence that would descend on their homes, broken only by the game's distorted audio. Today, the line between fiction and reality remains blurred, as new tales continue to circulate, each more disturbing than the last. The question persists: what is it about this game that refuses to die? Late one evening, after completing the final level, a former player, whose identity remains protected, received an unexpected phone call. The line crackled with static, and a voice, barely more than a whisper, spoke in a language the player could not understand. According to their account, the tone was urgent, almost pleading, as if trying to convey a warning from the shadows. The player described feeling a chill that seeped into the room, the sense that someone, or something, was watching from just beyond the reach of the light. Police reports later confirmed the call originated from an untraceable number, and attempts to decode the message yielded nothing. The player still remembers the sensation of dread, and the way the voice seemed to echo long after the call had ended. What was the warning, and who or what was behind it? In the aftermath of the game's creation, the psychological scars left on the town's remaining residents are palpable. Conversations about the game are met with silence, nervous glances, and doors quietly closing. Local therapists report a surge in insomnia, anxiety, and recurring nightmares, though few are willing to admit the cause. One former teacher, interviewed anonymously, described a pervasive sense of dread that settled over the community, as if something unseen lingered in the shadows. Police records note an increase in missing persons reports, yet most families refuse to discuss the circumstances. The collective denial has become a coping mechanism, a fragile shield against memories too disturbing to confront. Yet, beneath the surface, fear festers, raising the question, what truly happened after the game was played, and why does no one dare to speak its name? The investigation began quietly, with local authorities retracing the final days of the lead developer's life. Family members recall a sudden shift in his demeanor, sleepless nights, whispered conversations with unseen figures, and a fixation on ancient texts that seemed to consume him. In interviews, his wife describes finding cryptic notes scattered around their home, each one referencing rituals and symbols she had never seen before. His brother remembers the developer's eyes, once warm, now cold and distant, as if haunted by something just beyond the veil of reality. Police reports detail a series of late-night excursions to abandoned buildings on the outskirts of town, places long rumored to be cursed. As the days passed, his obsession with the supernatural grew, eclipsing all else. Yet, despite exhaustive searches and mounting concern, no trace of him was ever found. What drove him to the edge, and what did he encounter in the darkness that finally claimed him? Whispers persist among the town's dwindling population about a hidden ending buried deep within the game's code, an ending so elusive, many doubt its existence. According to rumor, this secret conclusion unveils a chilling truth. The town's fate was sealed long before the first disappearance, its history tainted by something ancient and malevolent. Archive footage shows faded newspaper clippings and cryptic police reports, hinting at events that were never meant to be understood. Eyewitnesses recall strange dreams and shadowy figures lurking in the quiet streets, as if the game itself was a warning. Yet, no official record confirms anyone has ever witnessed the hidden ending firsthand. Is it merely a legend, or does it conceal a reality too horrifying to confront? The question remains, has anyone truly seen it? Police records from the small town reveal a disturbing pattern. Over the course of several months, individuals who participated in the game reported sudden illnesses, violent fevers, inexplicable fainting spells, and, in 2 cases, temporary paralysis. More unsettling were the accidents. A car veering off a deserted road, a fall from a second-story window, each incident marked by confusion and a lack of witnesses. Officers noted the victims' reluctance to speak, their eyes darting nervously during interviews, as if something unseen lingered just beyond the station walls. Medical reports offered no clear diagnosis, only a string of symptoms that seemed to defy explanation. As the investigation deepened, a chilling silence settled over the community. Those who had once spoken freely now avoided questions, their fear palpable. What force could provoke such terror? And why did it choose to remain hidden in the shadows? Dr. Evelyn Hart, a clinical psychologist specializing in mass hysteria, sits across from us in her dimly lit office. She explains how collective fear can spread rapidly, especially among those already susceptible to suggestion. According to Dr. Hart, the game's eerie rules and whispered warnings act as psychological triggers, planting seeds of paranoia that grow in the minds of vulnerable players. She references documented cases where entire groups have experienced hallucinations or shared delusions after participating in similar rituals. Archive footage shows faded newspaper clippings detailing outbreaks of panic in small towns, each incident eerily linked to the game. Dr. Hart's voice is steady, but her eyes betray a lingering unease. She wonders aloud, is it simply the power of suggestion, or is something darker at work beneath the surface? The question hangs in the air, unanswered. In the final days of the studio, a chilling silence settled over the once bustling halls. Staff members who had worked together for years began leaving without warning, some vanishing in the middle of their shifts. Desks remained cluttered with unfinished scripts, coffee cups still warm, and expensive equipment powered on but unattended. Security footage captured hurried departures, faces pale, eyes darting nervously toward unseen corners. No official explanation was ever given for the mass exodus. What could have compelled these professionals to abandon their life's work so suddenly? The answer, buried in the shadows of those deserted rooms, remains disturbingly elusive. On a cold November night, Officer Daniel Reyes was patrolling the outskirts of town when he first heard the sirens. They echoed from the direction of the old recording studio, an abandoned building that locals avoided after sunset. Reyes described the sirens as distorted, almost mechanical, yet no emergency vehicles were ever dispatched. Within hours, reports of missing persons began to flood the station, all traced back to the studio's vicinity. In his official statement, Reyes admitted to feeling an unnatural chill as he approached the site and claimed that the air itself seemed to vibrate with a low, mournful hum. Surveillance footage from that night revealed nothing but static. To this day, the officer cannot explain what happened, nor how so many vanished without a trace. What force, he wonders, could have drawn them all to the studio? And why did the sirens only sound that night? The sound design of the game quickly became a focal point for investigators and players alike. Beneath the surface of its ambient soundtrack, several users reported the presence of hidden audio tracks, faint, almost imperceptible whispers that seemed to echo from nowhere. Forensic analysis revealed layers of distorted screams, embedded so deeply that only specialized software could isolate them. Former players described a growing sense of unease, as if the game itself was listening, responding to their actions with chilling vocal fragments. Police reports documented instances where these sounds continued to play, even after the game had been closed. Some questioned whether these auditory hallucinations were merely glitches, or something far more deliberate. To this day, no one has been able to explain who or what was behind the voices. In a dimly lit room, cluttered with shelves of forgotten cartridges and faded game manuals, we met with a collector who claims to possess one of the few surviving copies of Yuuyami Doori Tankentai. He describes how, from the moment the console powers on, the game seems to resist normal operation. Menus flicker, audio distorts, and save files inexplicably vanish. The collector recounts a persistent sense of unease, as if something unseen is watching from behind the screen. He recalls nights spent playing when the ambient sounds of the game seemed to bleed into his apartment, echoing footsteps and distant whispers that could not be traced. Technical support offered no answers. Each attempt to troubleshoot only deepened the mystery. When asked if he ever considered selling the game, he hesitates, admitting that sometimes he feels the game doesn't want to leave. What exactly is embedded in the code of Yuuyami Doori Tankentai? And why does it seem to reach beyond the boundaries of its digital world? As investigators delved deeper into the origins of the game, whispers of supernatural interference began to surface. Some claimed to possess haunted cartridges, reporting chilling voices and flickering shadows that seemed to emerge from the screen itself. Others spoke of cursed lines of code written late at night by anonymous programmers who vanished without a trace. Police reports documented frantic calls from players convinced their homes had grown colder, their dreams invaded by cryptic symbols. Yet, skeptics pointed to logical explanations: faulty hardware, urban legends, and the power of suggestion. Archive footage reveals a community divided, each side clinging to their version of the truth. But beneath the surface, a question remains. If the stories are mere fiction, why do so many who play the game disappear into silence? As the investigation draws to a close, the mysteries surrounding Yuuyami Doori Tankentai remain unresolved. The chilling legacy of the game continues to haunt those who dared to explore its shadowy streets, leaving behind whispers of unease and unanswered questions. Police reports detail strange disappearances and inexplicable phenomena, yet no definitive explanation has ever surfaced. Eyewitnesses still speak of unsettling dreams and a lingering sense of dread that followed them long after the screen went dark. Was Yuuyami Doori Tankentai simply an eerie work of fiction? Or did it tap into something far more sinister? The line between reality and nightmare blurs, leaving us to wonder, what truly lies beneath the surface of those haunted digital alleyways?